my heart is with this 8-year-old little boy. I don't care if he was here legally. I don't care if he was here illegally. He was in my county. 5 people died in my county, and that is where my heart is.
A vigil held for that student who was identified by school officials as 9-year-old Daniel Enrique Lasso, a 3rd grader at Northside Elementary.
Huge statements. Governor Greg Abbott said in part, quote, "Our hearts go out to the families and loved ones of the 5 victims that were taken in this senseless act of violence." But in the top part of the news release announcing the reward, the governor referred to the 5 victims as, quote, illegal immigrants. That part caught the attention of Harris County Attorney Christian Menefee. He responded, quote, "A family is executed and our governor makes sure calling them illegal immigrants is at the forefront of his response." He called the governor's response deplorable. And Senator Ted Cruz is calling for a quick trial once Oropesa is caught. He also called for the death penalty.
What to do? That hit the 100 podcast. First and foremost, I want to send my condolences to the family and the victims of the mass shooting in Cleveland, Texas. I'm very familiar with Cleveland, Texas. I got property out there. My family lives out there. It's the fastest growing Latino community in Texas. A lot of Latinos, they want that American dream, and they found it in Cleveland. You know, it's a hard-working community. It's a poor community. It's a community where a lot of people, they pretty much saved up their money and bought way out in the boonies where it's cheap, where land is really cheap, so that they can have something there. You know, people are building their houses as they go. I've seen people live in unfinished houses. You know, it's a hard-working Latino community, and for this mass shooting to happen there, I find it tragic. I find it saddening, you know, and it definitely hurts my heart that this had to happen in Cleveland, which is a community that I definitely respect a lot and I hold dear to my heart. That being said, you know, I want to talk about the governor and his comments. The governor, in a press release, referred to the victims as illegal aliens. And, you know, I find that gross. I find that sickening. I find that disrespectful, because these are human beings. These are people that got killed. Because in the state of Texas, it's gotten too common that just pretty much anybody can get a gun here in the state. And I find it messed up that this governor, instead of trying to fix the gun problem that we have, he's more worried about just calling these people illegal to get political points. And I find that messed up. I find that sickening, and I find it disrespectful. You know, the governor, he's already shown that he doesn't care about people. He doesn't care about Latinos. This is the 3rd mass shooting that has affected the Latino community in Texas. You got the mass shooting at Walmart with the white supremacists drove from Dallas to El Paso to kill people that were Latinos because he believed Latinos were going to replace white people. You got the 19-year-old with the gun at Uvalde that killed a bunch of kids in the school, and the police sat there for an hour and didn't do shit. And now you got this mass shooting where a dumbass guy, he gets drunk, he starts shooting in the air, they tell him to stop, and he gets mad and he kills a family, pretty much. So this is the 3rd mass shooting that's happened. Obviously, guns are really easy to get here in the state, and I just want to explain how it is buying a gun here. You go, typically if you want to buy a gun, you can go to Academy, you go to a pawn shop, find the gun you want, you pass a little background check, they ask you a couple questions, and typically you get your gun. It takes about 30 minutes to an hour to get a gun. When you get a gun, you can get the bullets at the same time, you know, so you're ready to go, you know, within like 30 minutes to an hour. You know, and I think, yes, you have to pass a background check when you go to a store, but I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is buying it from private dealers, buying it from gun shows. I think that's really what the problem is, because When you buy it from one person to another, you don't have to pass a background check. They could just give it to you. They could just sell it to you. So you don't know if this guy is a murderer. You don't know what this guy is. You could just buy the gun from them. They don't require you to pass a background check. You do not register your guns. When you buy a gun at a store, they don't register that shit. That shit is not registered under your name. And I think that's a problem. You know, and me, I'm an adult. I know all these gun nuts. They're scared of gun registry, of making you register a gun. I'm not afraid of that shit because I understand that, hey, we got to hold people accountable. You know, I'm educated. I'm an adult. Not having people register guns is a problem. You know, and I think that having guns registered could help a lot of people out. Because let's say somebody kills somebody, they get the gun, and they're like, hey, how did you get this gun? Well, y'all bought it off of this person. Well, there you go. Now this person is going to get in trouble for it. So if it can come back on you, you're less likely to sell it to somebody who's going to be a dumbass about it. You get what I'm saying? So I think passing common sense gun laws could definitely help a lot of people out. I know these gun nuts, they come out with stupid ass statements like tyrannical government and shall not be your friend. Just stupid shit like that, man. Like just dumbasses. Y'all care about people's lives. I care about safety. And I'm not anti-gun, but at the same time, I don't like people that act that they're tough because they got a gun. In the state of Texas, you got too many dumbasses like that. Just to let you guys know about where I live in Houston. We got about 2 million people in the city. We're about half as big as Los Angeles, right? We got more murders than Los Angeles. We don't have the gang problem that Los Angeles has. We don't have as many gangs as they do. But yeah, we got more murders than they do. Too many people got guns. Everybody's quick to pick up a gun and solve the problems that way. And I think that's definitely a problem here in the state of Texas. And the governor, he could have done something about it, but he doesn't want to. He just wants to demonize Latinos, make us look bad, and get political points with conservatives, right-wingers, Republicans, whatever the hell you want to call them. He just wants to get points off of them Fox News people. At the same time, he let it be known that he doesn't care about minorities. You know, you got a protester that was killed during the George Floyd protests, riots, whatever you want to call them. He was killed by a guy who pretty much said he wanted to kill protesters. He was shot and killed by this guy. He was found guilty. Before that man was even sentenced, Governor Greg Abbott's talking about he wants to give him a pardon. You know, this motherfucker was found guilty. This guy he committed premeditated murder. And yet the governor is out here trying to give this guy a pardon. And I find that bullshit. Just because he has a different political ideology, the governor wants to give that man a pardon. I mean, he wants to pardon the guy who killed the guy who thinks differently than him. And I find that bullshit, you know. And I think it's unchristian-like. I think it's unempathetic. And I think it just shows that he's a bad leader. I believe that us as Latinos need to unite. And I think us as Latinos need to recall this motherfucker, man. Get him up out of office. Honestly, Greg Abbott has got to go. He needs to get the fuck up out of office. You know, and, you know, shout out to the sheriff of San Jacinto County for not taking the bait that Greg Abbott tried to give him. Shout out to that sheriff because I like what he said. He said, hey, his kid was in my county. I don't care if he was here illegally or not. He's in my county, and I was responsible for his life. Like, we're responsible for his safety. He's a human. So, shout out to that sheriff, man, and being an actual adult, being an actual, like, a real person, you know, and having empathy for the family of that kid of the family and the kid who died. You know, shout out to him, Greg Abbott. You already know how I feel. He got to go. He needs to get the fuck up out of here, you know. And yeah, man, let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'm out.